Hey, folks, this is Mike and Jim, the two Micks. And folks, we've got a lot to talk about today. We're going to talk a little bit about volleyball, believe it or not.
Volleyball?
Volleyball.
We're talking about volleyball tonight?
Well, we might even talk about pickleball.
We're talking about pickleball. I can tell you that right now.
And football. And, Mike, when we start this podcast, Mike told me, he said, Jimmy, we're not going to be political, which we haven't been. But we're also doing this podcast on 911. And I think it would be, if we didn't say something about 911, how we need to remember the innocent people that lost their lives that day, almost 3,000. The first responders that bravely went in and ended up passing away, dying on that day.
Where were you, Jimmy, when 9/11 happened?
I had left the house. I was getting ready to go to Greensburg. And it was like, I can't remember, 7 o'clock in the morning, 7:30. And then I decided I wanted something to eat. So I went back home to get a bowl of cereal. And I sat down and I was watching Good Morning America. I didn't have the sound on the TV. And I looked up and I saw smoke coming out of a building. And I thought, they got a fire there. And I sat there and watched it and I go, what the heck? And then I remember I can't remember, it wasn't Robin or George Sinopoulos or Mike Strahan. I can't remember who was there, but all of a sudden.
Well, Michael Strahan was he wasn't even playing pro football yet.
And I saw a plane come around and hit the second tower.
I'll tell you who I saw it was Peter Jennings. It was the anchor when I was watching.
No, this was that other guy. And anyway, they go, well, there's fire coming out of the other building. And I go, a plane just hit it. In my I actually talked to the TV. It doesn't make me crazy, but that's what I said. And then all of a sudden it came up that the Pentagon had got hit.
So then you were at your house.
I was at my house. I was watching this whole thing unfold. Yeah. And then it came up later on about a plane crashing in Pennsylvania. I called my boss. I said, Mark, I'm telling you right now, I had good intentions of working today, but right now I can't move. And I stayed home and watched it. I don't know if I was worried about my family or what, Mike.
The time stood still. I'll never forget it either. I was in my first month at the high school I work at John Hardin, and the school had been only open for a month. It was brand new, and it was a month into it. I remember the room I was in, who I was with, and we watched it that day. And funny thing is that here I am in the same school almost 25 years later, and I show a little thing every year. Have you ever seen the little documentary that ESPN did on the man in the red bandana?
No, I have not.
You should look it up. It's really good. It was done by ESPN. It's a great story, and I show it to my kids every year. Of course, nowadays, the kids that I show it to, they weren't even born yet. And so it's crazy to think that it's been that long ago, but it was definitely a day that changed history and, changed how we live.
Yep. And yes. And I remember, though, the country unified.
Oh.
We all became neighbors, cousins, brothers, and sisters, and it unified. And the one thing I also want to talk about is how sports, when a tragedy happens, how sports brings up some kind of normalcy. I remember President Bush throwing out the first pitch at a baseball game. I remember Mike Piazza hitting home run for the Mets. I'm not a fan of baseball. Well, me and Mike, it's the first time we even said baseball, hasn't it?
We've said pickleball every time, though.
Yeah, we do. And I remember when we had Katrina hit and the New Orleans got to play, and Gleason, iconic blocked punt, and New Orleans won the game. I also remember when the Boston bombing happened in the Boston Marathon, and Dave Ortiz gave his speech when they finally opened the city up and the Red Sox played, and they ended up winning that game. And sports brings us comfort, normalcy through a lot of tragedies. And of course, we had one yesterday that I don't want to talk about right now. But anyway, Anyway, just remember the 911 innocent people that passed away. Their families are still to this day grieving with it. And a lot of people, when 911 happened, those of you that are 24 years old weren't even born.
Nope.
And, so just look at it. If you don't know, I'm sure your parents, grandparents, whatever, have talked to you about it, but just look it up. It's a day we'll never forget.
The message that I always try to talk to kids about that I deal with every day is that it's always a good lesson to say, hey, man, you never know what life's going to throw at you, and you never know what's going to happen. All those people that died that day went to work, thought it was just going to be a normal day, and and then they never came home. So that's why we're here, Jimmy, is that we're having fun and we're living life to the fullest, because you never know, man.
That's right.
And this is going to be,
So, Mike, what'd you do this week? Did you go to New York again this week?
I didn't do anything as exciting as that. But,
okay.
I did watch a lot of football, which we're going to talk about today. And, as far as going to New York, we talked a little bit of tennis. I'm not going to spend a long time.
Who won the Open?
I was going to say congratulations to Arena Sabalenka, who won the women's championship. And I got to see her up there, the number one player in the world. And Carlos Alcaraz won the men's championship and defeated Yannick Sinner. So I got the final I wanted to see, but
congratulations.
But yeah, congratulations to them, and watched the first weekend of pro football. It was a lot of great games, and it's just great for football to be back. Yeah. But you know what, Jimmy? You know what else I learned about this week? I did a little research.
I don't care you're going to tell me anyway, so go ahead and tell me.
Well, as much as you have loved pickleball and brought it up every week, I did a little research on pickleball.
Oh, no, I'm in trouble.
That's how I know things, Jimmy.
Okay.
I'm kind of like, I drink and I know things. I'm like Tyrion Lannister from Game of Thrones.
So you like Peabody?
Have you ever seen Game of Thrones, Jimmy?
No, really.
Oh my God, you got to watch Game of Thrones.
I've watched it once.
You kind of remind me of a larger version of Tyrion Lannister, but
I hope that's a compliment.
Well, you watch the show and you let me know if you think
it's all right, I will.
He's a great character. But anyway, so you've mentioned pickleball a couple times, and you realize that in pickleball, that probably one of the most dominant athletes in any sport right now in the world is in women's pickleball?
Well, it doesn't surprise me. I'm telling you.
Anna Lee Waters, who is the number one pickleball player in the world, women's pickleball player. She's number one in singles, doubles, and in mixed doubles.
Really?
Yes. She has won over, I think, 150. Now, this is doubles and everything, like 150 tournaments. Last year in 2024, you know how much money she made, Jimmy?
No.
She made upwards of $3 million on pickleball winnings, sponsorships, and endorsements.
That's not bad for pickleball, is it?
That's not bad for any sport. $3 million. Okay, but here is the kicker. Okay, and she not only that, but at one time she had like a 70-something match win streak going on.
Wow.
Okay, but here is the craziest.
So is she like the Tiger Woods of pickleball?
I'm saying she's kind of like the Serena Williams of pickleball. Serena Williams was the dominant, considered the best tennis player of all time.
Okay.
But here's the crazy thing about her.
All right, well, tell me.
She's 18 years old.
Well, that's not crazy.
No, but I'm going to tell you the crazy part. That's not the crazy part.
Well, what's
how long she's been on the tour?
No.
6 yeyears. She was 12 years old when she turned pro and won her first pro tournament at 12 years old.
12 years. Yeah.
12 years old. Yes.
Right,
and here is the other thing about it. Okay. Right now, Jimmy, as much as you love pickleball and you love to talk about it, you could go see them right now.
Where are they playing?
The pickleball tour right now is up at Lindor Family Tennis Center up in Cincinnati, Ohio, where they play the men's tournament just a month ago.
Isn't that a 2-hour drive?
It's 2 hours, Jimmy. I know you don't wander out of your backyard very much, but
will my golf cart drive that far?
As fast as you drive your golf cart, you'll be there in about 5 minutes. Guys, let me tell you what, if you ever get on Jimmy's golf cart, just watch your life flash before you, because he drives so fast in that golf cart, he removed the governor or something on it. I don't know. No. But I thought I was going to die the one time I went on his golf cart. But anyway.
All right.
Little bit about pickleball there.
Well,
Jimmy.
I'm proud of
you.
Mike, I'm proud. I'm really proud of you.
Anna Lee Waters. We're going to get her as a guest one time on our show. Anna Lee Waters, the pickleball legend.
Yeah. I'll
12
have to
years
admit it.
old.
Well, I'm proud of you.
I mean,
Mike.
I wasn't even eating pickles at 12 years old. She's out there winning
Oh,
tournaments.
my daughter used to love pickle juice.
So
And
anyway,
now it's a health drink, I think.
it is.
But hey, Mike, this week we had some good games, didn't we?
Had a lot of great games. With the college football, had some good ones, but the pros really, pretty much all the pro games really were, most of them were right down to the wire. Some great games to talk about. I'm excited, Jimmy. I'm excited to talk about some of the games from last week. And
Yeah,
we did a little better on our picks too, because last week we didn't do so well.
Well, yeah, you didn't count two of them that I picked, but anyway, I got to quit going with my heart when it comes to Kentucky. Ole Miss beat Kentucky last week, but you know what? Kentucky was in the game, but I don't know.
We're definitely going to talk about that because there's some things in that game.
We're talking about it right now. So.
Oh, and you know what? When I went to the UK game, you know who I got to see? I literally could have touched him.
Tell me.
Mark Pope.
Hey, I like Mark.
Oh, he's great.
Yeah.
The whole team was right there, right in front of me in the coaches section.
But anyway, hey, folks, last week, Iowa and Iowa State, a home state rivalry, and Iowa State won.
So we're talking college football first.
Yeah, we are.
All right. So talking about college football from last week.
You just
last
said
weekend.
that twice. Let's get on to it.
All right. I just wanted to make sure.
Iowa State beat Iowa, and Iowa's now 3-0. They got the best record in college football.
I'm telling you, Jimmy, they could sneak into the playoff. I'm telling you.
Oklahoma State and Oregon just they
pummeled.
They beat
pummeled.
Oregon State looks pretty good, but they looked pretty good last year when they went undefeated. And then
they made the playoff, and I forgot who they got beat by last year.
Ohio State.
That's right, because it was a rematch. Because Oregon beat Ohio State during the regular
Ohio
season.
State
that's right.
I mean, they were ready for them. Ohio State didn't just beat them; they beat them good that game. And then we had Kansas and Missouri. I guess you could call that a
state rivalry. You were mad because SEC game day went there.
I wasn't mad about it. I just didn't understand why they didn't come to Kentucky, because that's probably going to be the only time this year we get them there. And we had Ole Miss. It was two SEC teams. It was just And then and of course Mizzou won that game pretty handily, I think. I mean, Kansas came back, and then Michigan at Oklahoma. And Mike, I've been saying all along, Oklahoma is my sleeper team this year.
They could be. They played well, and they. It was a pretty good game. I watched that game, or at least I watched the second half of it when I got back into town from the UK game. And it was, I mean, I picked Oklahoma to win that game. I think that they could be.
Did.
They kind of, as far as there's no easy schedule in the SEC, but I think they've got a little more of a favorable schedule than a lot of other teams. So
if you look at all the good games this week, they're all in the SEC.
Well, true. Yeah.
Which
is something I want to talk about. Because,
wait a minute, we're not done with these games. You're jumping ahead. You're getting too quick.
I got my wrong thing here.
Yeah, well, no, that's last week.
Oh, where's my thing?
Anyway,
I don't have the right thing. Where's my page at, Jimmy?
Arizona State went into Mississippi State. Arizona State was ranked in the top 25, and Mississippi State, the Cowbells, they beat them, and it was a good game, but they beat the Arizona State. Arizona State actually dropped out of the top 25. Now, the fans.
Did they drop out of the top 25 or just the top 15?
No, they dropped out of the top 25.
Really?
And the fans stormed the field. Mike, do you know how much?
They were ringing them damn cowbells the whole time, too.
Well, they shouldn't have, but they just certain times. But anyway, they stormed the field. And do you know what the SEC fined Mississippi State? What do you think? I might have already told you. If I did, just say you don't know.
We did talk about it.
Okay, well,
I guessed $100,000 because that's what I thought the fine was.
The SEC fined Mississippi State $500,000. The SEC changed the rule. It used to be $50,000, then they'd up it to $100,000. It happened 2 times in 1 year, but now it's $500,000. But that's only if the visiting team is still on the field. Or still going off the field. But anyway, and I tell you what, Mike, I'll be honest with it. I wish Kentucky would get fined about twice a year, to be quite honest.
They got to win first.
Well, I know it, but they
got to win first.
I would love it, Kentucky. And
then I'm going to say something in terms of this is something that, of course, that was a big game, and I'm having a problem right now, Jimmy, especially because I know it's the beginning of the season. It's going to be an issue at the end of the season. Some of these teams that are stepping out and they're scheduling tough opponents and they're dropping down, and then these other teams that are playing nobody. Like I'm right now, I'm just going to be honest with you, and I'm not saying that they're not going to be really good. Penn State's played nobody. They played nobody out of conference.
No, they haven't. They play Villanova this week.
Right. They played 3 patsies and they played nobody out of conference, and they're sitting there at number 2. And then you've got some teams that are jumping up just because they blew some little team out. And I'm like, you know what? At some point, like, that was the big discussion last year. Like IU was the team that was, played a very soft schedule, played nobody out of conference. They only played one of the big 3 in the Big Ten, and got into the playoff over teams that had played a murderous schedule. And I don't know.
The NCAA has looked at that, and we talked about this, I think, on our first show, but they have a metric system that they're trying to get where the computer can judge your schedule. Now, they've always sort of supposedly taken in strength of schedule, but I think they take strength of schedule to get you into the playoffs a lot of times, especially in the basketball tournament. But they are looking into that, who you play and who you don't play. And
what's going to end up happening is, and I remember Saban talking about this at the end of last year when there were some teams that he thought deserved to be in that had a few losses comparative. Of course, he leans towards the SEC, obviously, but he said what's going to happen is that you're not going to get these great matchups, and fans are the ones that are going to lose out. You're not going to get Texas and Ohio State playing each other, and you're not going to get, Florida State, Alabama, and you're not going to get a lot of these big matchups at the beginning of the year because teams are like, why would I do that when Penn State can go over here and play 3 patsies and not drop and not get penalized at all?
Well, that's where the NCAA needs to get together and say, hey, you know what? You didn't play anybody. Look at their overall record. The teams that they play, how they lost.
Right.
Of course, this week, folks, we got. Well, let's talk about the top 10. Not much change except Georgia dropped, didn't they, Mike?
Well, Oregon moved up because they blew out Oklahoma State, and then Georgia dropped a little bit because they weren't too impressive. Texas stayed the same. The big one was Illinois and Florida State jumped up, and South Carolina dropped out.
Well, of the top 10. Well, actually, South Carolina dropped out last week. Florida.
No, they were 10th. They moved up, and then they were 10th. Now they're 11th. They only dropped down 1, but it's I don't even know who did Illinois play. Did they even play anybody?
I haven't seen them on TV or anything. Florida State they've looked good. Last week they won. They scored 77 points.
Right.
So
that was against nobody.
And look ahead, we got some main games that you might want to watch, and most of them are in the SEC.
Wait, before we get back real quick.
You don't want to talk about the SEC?
Well, no, we got to talk about what happened in the UK game, and plus the big one was
UK lost. I can tell you what happened.
Well, yeah, but I got a few comments I'd like to make on that.
Well, Mike,
but not only that, but the big one was that Florida getting upset at home against South Florida, which then there's the question: is South Florida legit? They started the season.
They're in the top 25.
They should be. They beat Boise State right at the first game of the year, and then went into Florida, beat Florida, and then they play Miami Miami this week.
They had the biggest move up. They're 18.
Well, they should be.
And as a matter of fact, Mike, just for your information, there are 2 SECs that are now in the top 25. Of course, they're 24 and 25. One of them is your Auburn Tigers. The other one is Missouri.
War Eagle.
Missouri Tigers. Oh, it's 2 Tigers, Missouri and Auburn Tigers. Yeah.
We're talking about the War Eagle.
Well, isn't it Auburn Tigers?
Auburn, yeah.
Where the heck's never mind. Well, that'll be another show.
That'll be another show. We'll get Spencer as a guest host to talk about that.
Now,
he knows
if you
the
want
story
to talk
behind
about the Ole Miss Kentucky game, I can tell you, folks, Kentucky lost. But what you got to say?
It was obviously a good game. It kind of, I obviously thought UK was going to lose, but there was some disappointing things in the coaching realm of that game in terms of I thought time management. Stoops has never been good at game management. I mean, I think that's one of his weakest things is he does a great job recruiting players in, organizing the program, running it efficiently. But when it comes to game time situations, man, I mean, like you're coming out of timeouts and stuff and then having to, not having a play called or, not having the right personnel in. There's just no reason for that. But I really think that, there's a lot of things that I could nitpick about. But the one thing that that I thought was the big turning point in that game was Kentucky got the breaks they needed at the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
And they got the 2 interceptions and they got the 2 early scores. And I thought this is what they needed to have happen to have a chance to win this game. I thought when they didn't score a touchdown on the second one, I thought that really worried me. I thought we need a touchdown here and go up 14-0 because I knew Ole Miss was going to score points. Because the one thing you could tell right away was that their receivers were much more talented than our cornerbacks. Yeah. I mean, they would throw it out there in that hitch, and then they would just make a couple steps and run 10 yards right past our cornerbacks. But I thought the big turning point in the game and the thing that I really had a problem with, Ole Miss got the ball back, and they were about on our 40-yard line. They were driving, and they got to a 4th and 1. It was maybe like a 4th and a half a yard, something like that. And they'd already shown that Jimmy left his phone on. Look at that.
Sorry about that.
Really? So anyway, we get to 4th and 1. We're up 10. The pressure's all on them. And we go up there to try to stop them. We crowd the line of scrimmage. Well, not only that, but we crowded their receivers with our cornerbacks. And, Lane Kiffin's a gambler. And to me, you crowd the line of scrimmage, but you give them the underneath pass. You pay loose on the wide receiver, and you say, okay, if you're going to throw it, you're going to throw it underneath. You're not going to beat me deep. Well, they burned our receiver. They play action and went deep on that and then burned us and then scored a 40-yard touchdown. And that changed the whole momentum of the game. And to me, if they get the first down, it's no big deal. You let them get, and you still have a good chance of stopping them for a field goal, or even they might miss the field goal. And I just thought that was not a good coaching move on our part. And then not only that, but when we get to the end of the game and we don't take the field, you're big always about taking the points. We could have made it a 1-possession game with 8 minutes left. We went for it on 4th and 8, didn't make it, and
Okay,
so
Mike, hang on, I got to take this. Hey, Stoops, yeah. Michael edit that out. I'm sorry about that, buddy.
No, I won't.
Yeah, okay. But
Tell him
hey,
I
good
told
luck
him that.
against Eastern Michigan this week.
You better win by about 80 this weekend. But anyway.
My biggest problem about the game is that Ole Miss had more points than we did at the end of the game.
Well, there's reasons for that. But, overall, I mean, Ole Miss is a better team. Yeah. We had our chances, and we didn't. Yeah. And the unfortunate thing is that we're probably not going to get very many chances against SEC teams. Well, that was a win that we could have gotten that would have potentially put us to where we had a chance of getting 6 wins. But we got to find one somewhere else, Jimmy.
There's some good games this week, folks. If you're a college football lover, you got to love these games. We got Clemson at Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech's a tricky team. They always are.
I'm going to take Clemson in that one, Mike.
I'll take Clemson too, but it wouldn't shock me if Georgia Tech gave them everything they wanted
and
pulled the upset.
It'll be a close game. We got Wisconsin at Alabama.
Again, here we go. Alabama has played at Florida State and playing another Big Ten team. Penn State's played nobody.
Well, Florida State is.
There's several teams that played. No, but Florida, Wisconsin. What are you talking about? Wisconsin is a Big Ten team. That's what I said.
Oh yeah, Wisconsin is. Yeah, I thought
they played an ACC team on the road, Florida State.
Yeah, okay.
And then they play. Wisconsin's not a top 10 team.
Well, anyway, I'm taking Alabama.
Well, he better win that game.
And
they'll hang him.
We have what I consider the game of the week: Georgia at Tennessee.
Yeah, that is definitely the game of the week.
That is going to be a good game. It always is pretty much a good game, but I think I'm going with Georgia.
Yeah, until somebody knocks off the Bulldogs. I know they haven't looked super impressive their first 2 games, but you gotta say that Kirby Smart's going to get in there and get. But Tennessee's tough to play in Knoxville, so I think that could go either way.
Then we have South Florida at Miami. And I think this is where South Florida loses their Cinderella.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if Miami wins that easy because they're going to.
Miami.
Well, I'm picking Miami, but I'll pick Miami and think that they'll win pretty easy. Just in the fact that South Florida has played 2 tough games and played above their head in both games, and I could see Miami's not going to overlook them now, obviously.
No, so. And then Florida goes into Death Valley, LSU, and I'm going to take LSU on this one. I think that loss last week might have. I don't know if it did any damage, but Florida needed that win against South Florida last week because their schedule, their schedule is one of the toughest in America.
I'd say Florida's schedule is the toughest schedule, especially now that Florida State is looking like they're really good.
Yeah, and then Texas A&M is at Notre Dame. That's a tough one for me to pick. Notre Dame, Playing at Notre Dame, Texas A&M's not bad, but
I mean, I'm going to take Notre Dame in that game. Notre Dame went down there to Texas A&M and beat them in a close game last year.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to take Texas A&M.
When I got listed here, I put Vandy at South Carolina, which you wouldn't think is a very big game.
That is a very big game.
But that's an interesting game because, Vandy's a solid team. And South Carolina, if they look past them, then, that could be a dangerous game for them because Vandy's solid. I'm telling you, they're a solid team.
Anyway, I'm going to take South Carolina.
I'll take South Carolina too, but I do think it's an interesting game. So.
Hey, and folks, before we get into pro football, I want to talk to you about Louisville and Kentucky. Women's volleyball. Kentucky women's volleyball is ranked 3rd. Louisville is ranked 4th. I don't know whether y'all knew that, but if you get a chance to watch them on ESPN or ESPN Plus or ESPNU, whatever, you need to watch them. They're pretty good. Although I have to say, Louisville and Kentucky both lost last night. Kentucky lost to Pitt, and Louisville lost to the number 2 team, Texas. So if you get a chance,
Pitt's ranked.
Pitt's ranked, but they weren't ranked ahead of Kentucky or Louisville.
I think they're top 10, aren't they?
But anyway, we've got 2 great women's volleyball teams in the state of Kentucky. So if you get a chance, watch them, see how you like them. I forgot. I just wanted to mention that, Mike.
Well, you did. So.
I know you're glad I did too.
I am. Oh no, actually, we talked about that last night. We were talking about how good. I mean, really over the last several years. I mean, Kentucky and Louisville both. What's 2-3 years ago when? It was actually a few years ago. I think it was the year that Kentucky was the COVID year that they were really bad. Only won 9 games in basketball, but I think the volleyball team won the national championship that year.
Yeah. And what do you think about the NFL week 1?
Week 1, I thought, there was a few surprises. I think the one thing that I came away with from this week is I do think that the Ravens and the Bills are the 2 teams to beat. I just think that those 2 teams. I mean, I know you fell asleep during that game, but it was a heck of a game. And
I still watched everything, and but Lamar Jackson or the Ravens. Maybe I shouldn't say Lamar Jackson, but the Ravens going into the 4th quarter with a lead and then blowing it.
Well, I tell you,
they've done that a lot of times. Going into the 4th quarter with, I don't know if it's coaching, I don't know if it's Lamar, I don't know what, or the whole team, but there's something.
My thing on that game was, I think overall, talent-wise, I think after watching all the games I did, I think the Ravens have the most talent top to bottom. They really dominated that game on the most part until the very end. And they had some, the big thing is that the Bills are good. Don't get me wrong. The Bills are really good. I still, I picked them to go to the Super Bowl this year, but they got down to about 5 minutes in the game. They were down like 16 points. Bills went down and scored, got it within 8. And then the big thing was Derrick Henry fumbled the ball the first play, which he never fumbles. And he was dominant that game. He just ran all over the Bills. I think he scored 2 touchdowns, and he had a great game. And Lamar had a really good game too. He had one of the best scrambles I've ever seen in my life.
Lamar's good.
Oh my God. He had I don't even know how he got out of it. I mean, there was 2 guys that were going to tackle him for a 10, 15-yard loss, and he got out of it and ran for a 20-yard gain. But at the end of the game, Derrick Henry fumbles. The Bills are down 8, so they get the ball. They end up scoring, and they go for 2. They didn't make it. So they were up 2, and there was 1 minute and 38 seconds left. And then the Bills had all 3 of their timeouts. And then the Ravens, all they had to do was get a first down. The game's over. Because they would have made them
watch that game.
Oh, I stayed and watched the whole thing. It was a great game. So my big thing was I thought the Ravens got way too conservative at the end of the game in that last series when all they need is a first down. Lamar Jackson, if I'm that coach, the ball does not leave Lamar Jackson's hands. He's got an RPO situation where he has the opportunity to run every play. And I'm like, Bills, if you can stop Lamar Jackson 3 straight downs from getting a first down, then you deserve the ball back and a chance to win. And I thought they gave the ball to Derrick Henry, who gained a couple yards. Then they did a jet sweep with Zay Flowers, and then they threw the ball with Lamar. He threw it and completed it, but he didn't get the guy didn't get the first down. I just thought they got way too conservative, and that, it was one of those things. Now, I'm not taking anything away from the Bills because, Josh Allen threw some great passes, and he got him in a situation to win. And, he's a heck of it. I think those two quarterbacks, even beyond Mahomes now, and, I think those are the two best quarterbacks in the league overall, talent-wise.
Anyway, the Cowboys played at the Eagles. Of course, the Eagles won. The Chiefs, it said, and the Chargers played in Brazil, and the Chargers beat the Chiefs. And the Chiefs have a tough game this week too. They play the Eagles.
The Chiefs got their first 5 games, or they got to play the Eagles, then they got to play the Ravens. They got to play at the Bills, I think, in the first 5. They literally could start off 1-4 if they're not careful. Now, I don't think that'll happen, but
I think I figured it up. If they go 3-3 their first 6 games, I think they'll still be all right.
Yeah,
in my opinion, because they get Rashid Rice back, and I think they'll be all right after that. And then, of course, the 49ers at the Seahawks. The 49ers won, but it cost them a little.
You skipped over the Steelers and the Jets. That was one of the best games of the weekend.
You quit reading. I'm going by memory. You got to read everything. The 49ers at the Seahawks, although that cost the 49ers a little bit. George Kittle is out for I don't know how long, Mike, 6 weeks maybe.
He's got a hamstring injury. Well, and Brock Purdy's out too.
Brock Purdy's got a shoulder and toe injury, and the toe is the main problem. I've never had a toe injury, so
I've had turf toe before. It's not fun.
It's painful.
Oh, it's horrible.
But
horrible.
Brock Purdy is out this week when they play the New Orleans Saints, and the Steelers beat the Jets. And I tell you what, Aaron Rodgers, I thought looked good. I mean, hell, he threw for 4 touchdowns.
4 touchdowns, yeah.
And then Justin,
the old man's not washed up yet, Jimmy.
Justin, I didn't say
he's got a few more miles left in his tank.
And Justin Fields,
he looked good too.
He looked good too.
The Jets blew that game. They had that game won and kind of let the Steelers steal it.
That's sports. And then the game
Steelers stole it.
Yeah, the game that I picked, and the Vikings at the Bears, and McCarthy first 3 quarters, daggone it, I thought maybe they had made a mistake with that quarterback, but Dan and Joe, your team came through. I couldn't believe it, but they came through and beat the Bears at Chicago.
They did. Yeah, I was a little. I thought the Bears would win that game, and they looked good the first half, and in true Bears fashion.
I think the Vikings coach is probably one of the best in the NFL because, he had Darnold last year that won 14 games for him. And it's like, no, I'm going with the rookie that hadn't even played a game yet. And what I saw in the 4th quarter, that quarterback, he broke a record for a rookie by scoring 3 touchdowns in the 4th quarter. 2 of them passing, 1 of them running. Of course, when you got Jefferson, you should be able to score a few touchdown passes.
And there's a reason why he won a national championship at Michigan.
So, anyway, congratulations to the Vikings and everything. And the schedule this week, Mike, what pops out to you?
Well, I mean, first off, the game tonight is a big one. The Commanders at the Packers, which the Packers looked great last week.
The Packers looked great.
They look great. And I know it's the first game. But that's my Super Bowl pick, Jimmy.
Yeah, I know.
Packers and the Bills.
Mine was the Lions and the Ravens.
Yeah. They both lost.
My Lions did not look good. And, hey, folks, before we go about this week's schedule, there were some teams that I thought did not look good last week. Biggest disappointment was the Miami Dolphins.
Oh, wow. They laid an egg.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, I don't know if that's just
that was really the only big blowout of the weekend.
I didn't think the Lions looked good against the Pack.
The Lions,
and that could be part of the Pack, but still.
But the Colts just jumped on them. It wasn't even ever close at all. Like the Lions were at least kind of had, really through the second half could have made a game of it, and they were kind of in it. But
the other team that I didn't think looked as good as they should was the Bengals against Cleveland. Even though the Bengals won, I don't think they looked good.
Well, the Browns pulled what the Bengals usually do in the first game of the year, and that was they missed 2 field goals and pretty much gave the game away to the Bengals. But Bengals have got to – I'm just going to say that the Bengals, if you're as bad as their defense is, if their defense holds another team under 25 points, all that star power on offense and what they've spent on Burrow and Chase and Pickens or Higgins, not Pickens, but T. Higgins, you better be winning because I'm sorry, there's too much talent on that offense to only be scoring 17 points. But I don't know what it is, but their offensive line, they have never been able to square away the offensive line. And Burrow is always scrambling and on the run, and just seems like he's got about a half a second to throw the ball. And now Myles Garrett caused a lot of that because he's probably the best defensive end in the league. But I don't know.
Anyway, I'm going to pick the Packers tonight, Mike.
I think the Packers will win playing at home in Lambeau. So,
and,
but
then some games we have next week. I'm taking Cleveland at Baltimore. I'm going to take Baltimore.
Well, yeah, you got.
Well, yeah, okay.
On,
Jacksonville at Cincinnati.
Is that even worth mentioning?
I think so. I think Cleveland may be better than you think. Jacksonville at Cincinnati. I'm taking Cincinnati, although I'm not 100%
Well,
sure.
I think the Bengals, what I'm hoping, obviously being a Bengals fan, I'm hoping getting over that first game hump will take the pressure off them. But last week I said the Jags were going to be my surprise team of the year, and they looked good.
So who are you taking?
I'm going to take the Bengals playing at home, but I still think overall, I think the Jags are going to have. I think the Jags will make the playoffs. I think they're going to have a turnaround year, and I think that they will be a little bit of the surprise team. I'm not saying they're going to win the Super Bowl or go to the AFC Championship game, but I do think that they will make the playoffs.
All right, and then the New York Giants at Dallas. I'm taking Dallas.
You got the Cowboys.
Okay.
The Giants look awful.
Chicago at Detroit. I'm taking the Lions.
Yeah, you got to go with the Lions there.
All right, here's a game. New England at Miami.
The toilet bowl?
New England at Miami.
Miami looked so bad last week.
I'm taking New England. Tyreek Hill, even though he's playing, is going through some stuff right now, the personal stuff that I ain't going to get into, but I'm taking New England.
I think Miami bounces back. I don't think you can read too much into week one.
With me?
I disagree with you a lot. Yeah.
No, you don't. Not as much as you think.
Yes, I do.
No, you just talk about the ones you win over me, but it's not that we disagree that much.
Well,
Anyway, the next game, San Francisco at New Orleans. I know Brock Purdy's out, Kittle's out, but I'm taking San Francisco. Do you know who the backup quarterback is for San Francisco?
I don't know who it is.
Mac Jones.
The guy that used to be at the Patriots?
Alabama boy.
He originally committed to Kentucky. He was going to go to Kentucky, and then he backed out and went to Alabama.
I got to call Stoops back.
Yeah.
Anyway, Buffalo at the New York Jets.
Well, you got to take the Bills.
Yeah. Well, you say you do, but
I'm taking the Bills.
Don't have to.
Yeah, I'm taking definitely.
Anyway, we have Seattle at Pittsburgh. I'm taking Pitt. All right. Yeah.
Well, you got to take Pittsburgh at home.
All right, here's one for you: the Rams at Tennessee.
Well,
Rams won that. Cam Ward did good. He did not have any turnovers in the game, even though he lost. But he did.
I think he's going to be a pretty good quarterback. I don't think he's going to be a great quarterback, but I think he'll be a solid.
I think he might be a great quarterback.
I hope he does. I hope he turns. I like to see young guys turn out well.
Carolina at Arizona. I'm taking Arizona.
Yeah, I'll take Arizona on that too.
And Denver at Indiana.
That's a big game. Denver and the Colts, especially the way the Colts looked last week. A lot of people are picking Denver to overtake the Chiefs this year and win the AFC West. So,
the Chargers might too.
And the Colts were the surprise team. How's Daniel Jones feeling? Right, Daniel Jones and Aaron Rodgers, who were on horrible teams last year, and then they both had stellar days in their first. And Aaron Rodgers did it against that team. So
Danny Dimes did pretty good. He did good.
And then the Giants were horrible, and Russell Wilson couldn't do any of that. I think Jackson Dart.
You mean the Jets? Who are you talking about?
I'm talking about the Giants. That's where Daniel Jones from the Colts used to be at, and they looked awful. Right. And Russell Wilson.
So who are you taking, Denver and Indiana?
I'm going to take the Colts on that. Or not the Colts. I'm sorry. I'm going to take the Broncos. I'm going to take the Broncos.
I had the Colts circled, so I already took them. So that's who I'm going with.
Yeah, I'm picking the Broncos in that.
All right.
Even though I would rather see the Colts win, but
Philly at Kansas City.
That's the big one. The rematch of the Super Bowl from last year. So the last time, the Eagles laid a whipping on them. I think KC bounces back this week. They get a win. I think it's going to be a really good game, though.
Do you know the last time Kansas City went 0-2?
It's been a while.
2014, so 11 years ago.
Yeah.
And
that was before Mahomes, obviously.
I'm taking Kansas City. I mean, that's a tough one.
Well, I'm going to tell you right
Philadelphia is actually favored in the game.
Well, I'm sure they are.
But I'm going to take Kansas City.
I think that's a game that the Chiefs have to win, because I think with the schedule the Chiefs have, starting out 0-2, and that's a tough division. You've already lost to the Chargers one time. That's a game that the Chiefs, it's almost, I hate to say this early in the season is a must win, but you almost feel like it's a must win for the Chiefs, or they're going to be digging out of a major hole and being in trouble in terms of making the playoffs if they start out 0-2, especially with their schedule. Because, like I said, they still got the next few weeks, they got to play the Ravens and the Bills, I think 2 out of the next 3 games. So they lose this game, they could easily start off 1-4 if they're not careful. So,
and then you have Atlanta at Minnesota. What do you think about that one?
Well, the Falcons disappointed me a little bit. I picked them to win that division, and it seems like every time the Falcons and the Buccaneers play, it's always some crazy game, and it was a crazy game again. It was just weird, just very weird game. But
after seeing their quarterback and everything, I'm taking Minnesota.
You know what? I'm not gonna jump off the Falcons bandwagon yet. I know this will be an upset to go to Minnesota, but I'm gonna pick the Falcons in a little bit of an upset.
Landon, one of their receivers, he's got a sore shoulder. He probably is going to play. Well, actually, 2 of their receivers have bummed up shoulders. And then Penix, of course, he's a rookie, but so is the Minnesota. I mean, Penix played last year, but not the whole season.
And I think he's going to be a really good quarterback.
Of course, you got Kirk Cousins if something happens to Penix. All right, then, folks, we got 2 Monday night football games. One starts at 7, so you're used to it starting at 8:15, 8:30. But we got Tampa Bay
at Houston.
Yeah.
And then you got the Chargers at the Raiders.
And I'm taking Texas and the Chargers.
I'm going to tell you what, Jimmy. I went to the Raiders game at Allegiant Stadium a few years ago on Spencer's 21st birthday. That's the place you got to get to. If you can get a ticket at Allegiant Stadium and go to that stadium, that was fun. That's one being in Vegas. Obviously, was fun too. And I got to do it with my boy when he turned 21.
Of course, so. Yeah. I mean, I remember you telling me
that was a great memory.
Yeah.
That was a great memory.
Anytime you get to do something with your son, that's a good time.
Oh man.
Or your daughter,
Definitely.
anytime.
Yeah. So miss them both, but they're doing great, Jimmy.
They're
having fun. They're in college, So, but I got to see Summer last weekend when I went to the game. You know what? I took Cupid too. We're gonna have to introduce Cupid one time. He got to go tailgating.
Cupid is a Bengals fan for all you Bengals fans.
He's a Bengals fan. He's got a UK jersey and he's got an Auburn jersey. He's
Cupid,
got all.
By the way, is a dog. I just want to let everybody know we're not talking about the guy that shoots arrows.
Everybody knows.
Well, not everybody. The listeners don't.
We'll introduce Cupid
our 2
next
listeners
week.
Probably do know Cupid.
Yeah, I guarantee most of our listeners definitely know Cupid.
Well,
but we'll bring Cupid on the show as a guest appearance sometime soon.
Yeah, well, he probably picked better picks than I do sometimes.
He might. We might just put little helmets out there and let him just pick which ones he wants, and then he'll pick them perfect.
We ready for my gripe?
You know what that means, guys? It's time for Jimmy's gripe of the week. Here it is. You've been sitting on this one.
Well,
something's been steaming you. Something has been smoke's been coming out of your ears or something, man. Something really got you fired up.
Smoke comes out of my ears. You and me's going to have to go to the emergency room because we're going to have smoke in the election. Folks, I tell you what, my gripe of the week is. This past weekend, we had 2 players, one in the NFL, one in the college rank, that decided they wanted to spit on another player. And one of them was a Florida player, and I think he cost his team the game. I mean, I'm not going to say it definitely, but I think he did. The other one was a pro player, and he could have cost his team a game, and that was the Eagles player. And I'm telling you right now, I don't know about the rest of you, but my mama told me when I was younger, if I spit on somebody, she would smoke my hind end or tan me, whatever.
Wasn't that a song?
Yeah, well, it probably my mom.
What's the song, Jimmy? That's from your era.
Well, I don't know, but in other words, it means you get a butt whipping if you spit on somebody. And this isn't the first time this has happened in sports. It happened Terrell Owens, OTO, he got fined $35,000 in 2005 for spitting on somebody. Romanowski got fined $7,500. Well, yeah, but he got caught probably at one time and got fined $7,500. And if those of you who watch Jerry Seinfeld, you have to know about the Keith Hernandez magic loogie thing, where Keith Hernandez was walking this way, Kramer and Newman were going this way, and all of a sudden Kramer got hit in the head with a loogie. It bounced off of Kramer and hit Newman in the right hand. Then it went up in midair and hit Newman in the left hand, the magic loogie. Anyway, you're grown adults. If you're in college, if you're in definitely if you're in the pro and high school, if you're a junior, senior, even a sophomore, even maybe a freshman, you should know better. But the bottom line,
first grader, you should know better than to spit in
well, I did. Face. I guarantee you. I don't know, but that was instilled in me. So don't spit on anybody for any reason whatsoever. That's my gripe of the week.
Oh, man. You know what that means? Jimmy's got to go pee. He might go spit on somebody. So, well, folks, we appreciate you guys tuning in again. Next week, I think we're planning our first live broadcast at Cosmic Golf, and we're going to have a little something different. And so our first 3 episodes we've done and we've taped. So we're planning on having our first live broadcast next week. We'll send out details. So tune in next week. And not only that, but if you guys want to send us some questions or comments that we might talk about on the air, you can send us an email at the number 2 Micks, M-I-C-K-S, talk@gmail.com. That's 2mixtalk@gmail.com. Send us a email with a question, comment. If you'd like to have a chance, we might talk about it a little bit on our live broadcast. So anyway, it was great seeing everybody. Hope you tuned in and enjoyed. Please subscribe to our channel if you haven't, and we'll see you next week. Peace out. We're the 2 Micks.